Hey Rooters, today I want to talk about anxiety, but not just anxiety itself, what I call a mental lifestyle, or what I'm starting to call a psychophysical spiritual lifestyle, or something along the lines of a mind, body, spirit approach of a lifestyle. And the reason why I started calling it a mental lifestyle is because I was thinking of it as something that we live day to day mentally. So like when you think of a lifestyle in general, it's kind of the things that you do, the activities that you partake in day to day. And I was thinking a mental lifestyle in terms of type of psychological factors. But basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about, this is more of an intro. So I'm going to elaborate on this in future podcasts on each of these factors I'm talking about here. And I want to note that these are not the only factors that I think contribute to this lifestyle. So again, I will elaborate that in the future. So this is going to be kind of like a multi-part series regarding anxiety. So what are these factors that I'm calling a part of this lifestyle? Well, some of these factors are, what I'm going to talk about today are mindfulness, patience, and gratitude. And each of these are so important that I do want to devote a podcast just to them themselves, because I think that they deserve a discussion about, why they're important, their purpose, how to acknowledge whether you are doing that or how you can improve, what you can do to incorporate it into your daily life, as well as the overall benefits of doing it. But basically, anxiety is something that is, we know that our sympathetic nervous system, it can get overactive. And when it gets overactive, that's when we start to experience excessive anxiety. Because on a typical primal basis, our sympathetic nervous system is there to keep us alive, and that's kind of what anxiety does. It keeps us aware, our senses get heightened, and our chances of survival increase because of that. And the problem is, today's day and age, at least in the United States, where we don't have to deal with that type of primal survival, when we start having excessive anxiety, that there's actually no need for, so that it's not being expressed or it's not being delivered on anything pretty much, then it starts to build up in certain ways and leak out in other parts of our lives. That's where we start to see, depression may come up, or, just other kind of anxiety is weird because it just kind of leads to a various amount of things. So that's why I think anxiety is so important. I talk to a lot of people who do suffer from anxiety, and I think it's a very important thing. That's one of the main reasons why I started Rooted with Robert, was to help people ground themselves, mostly people who are feeling anxious, but there's definitely a broader audience who can benefit from getting rooted. So let's talk about these for a second. Mindfulness, patience, and gratitude. Now, back when I was at my university, I had actually conducted a research study measuring this. My hypothesis was that basically a moderated mediated model, and what that means is there's going to be a factor that's going to explain the relationship between one thing and another, and then there's going to be a factor that's going to strengthen that relationship of that already existent relationship. So for example, I hypothesized that mindfulness would be the connecting point as to why patience would relate to less anxiety, and higher levels of gratitude would increase the strengths or the effects of that relationship. And what my research found was that was actually true. Now let me just note here that my research was just a questionnaire. It was a correlational and regression study, so it was not causation by any means. But I do believe correlational, especially regression, because they do show predicting variables. They are important for starting points to connect variables together and to start narrowing in on certain concepts, how they can relate to something, and to have us go about the next study or the next move, the next action to take. So I do strongly believe in correlational studies. However, I do understand that this is not results one results tells all type thing. So yeah, my study did find that exactly what I hypothesized, and which was actually my alternative model, but that was what was found. And basically, patience did not directly lead to less anxiety, but patience. So basically, I'm gonna put in a little bit more layman's terms, because I'm already into the research talk. When you are more patient, you are more likely to be mindful, and when you are more mindful, you are more likely to have less anxiety. And at the same time, while all that is going on, when you have higher levels of gratitude, everything that was just going on gets strengthened. So the effects are even stronger. So why is this important? Well, when we break it down, mindfulness, patience, and gratitude are all three things that we can all do that do not require pharmaceuticals, that do not require you having to spend any money. They are at your fingertips. And for all those people that are suffering from anxiety, this is not the cure-all, but this is something that you should start doing or start practicing to at least see where it takes you. It could alleviate a lot of your symptoms, and it could at least bring you up to a certain point that you are able to function a little bit better. So yeah, like I said, I will go into these each individually in a separate podcast, but for the most part, gratitude journals could be done. Mindfulness, meditation, yoga, even Tai Chi, but even just a walk through nature, a walk where you're observing everything around you, you're not really lost in thought, that could count as mindfulness. And patience, I think practicing patience comes along with mindfulness, but at the same time, I do think we can challenge ourselves to be more patient. For example, waiting at a red light, or someone on the road honking. Instead of reacting, you sit with it and you just go on with your day. You're being patient with the long-term part of your day instead of that immediate moment that doesn't necessarily mean anything. So yeah, these are just quick overviews of each of these variables, but I wanted to introduce in this podcast this lifestyle, this mental, spiritual, physical lifestyle that I think is a game changer. And this is a concept that I'm working on continually. I'm constantly thinking about, but I am big into health promotion and personal growth. And I do believe when you add positives, a lot of the negatives extinguish or they subside. So that is my goal with this type of lifestyle and trying to promote more. So I do believe there are more than just these three things, but these are definitely big ones, and mindfulness is a huge one. Studies have shown that mindfulness decreases anxiety. Tons of studies have shown that. Mindfulness-based interventions. John Kabat-Zinn has done a bunch of studies on that. So, and gratitude too. Patience is a little new to the literature, but I do enjoy reading into it and trying to explore that concept a little bit further. So thanks, guys, for listening. This is just an overview, as I mentioned, and stay tuned because this series will continue and we will take a deeper look into anxiety and different factors to kind of help you lower some anxiety levels and have a different perspective on your anxiety. All right, guys, so thank you, guys. I appreciate you. Peace.